You know, when it comes to the phrase one trick pony, one name stands out above all others: James freaking Gunn. James Gunn is an absolute Chad who had a lot of success when it came to Guardians of the Galaxy. The trilogy about a group of ragtag characters that were honestly not even B-list characters, but C-list characters, but James Gunn found a way to bring them all to life, and honestly, he made us even love them. Well, if you ever thought I would get emotional over a trash panda and a sea otter, well, you're right. Fast forwarding a few years from that now, James Gunn was now in talks to head the new DCU, and with his first project being Superman. Well, technically, Creature Commandos, but we don't need to talk about that. Again, a group of ragtag misfits that joins team to take down the bad guys. Very Guardians of the Galaxy-esque, but that led us to the biggest goal that he needed to crush, which was Superman. And well, the results are in, and it ain't good.
Let's have some Bible.
We have the setting up of all of the rest of the DCU in this season of Peacemaker. It's incredibly important.
Well, I'm convinced Peacemaker Season 2 must be better than.
What? Hold the fuck up!
I got a lot of questions about this, but I'm not even going to get into that right now. Stay tuned for that. Let me know in the comment section below. Was James Gunn the right person to head the DC universe now? Honestly, I had my optimism, but now it's just turned into one big Guardians of the Galaxy franchise. A group of ragtag misfits that must come together to achieve the goal by taking down the big bad. Don't get me wrong, I did enjoy Peacemaker when he was in the Suicide Squad. And that's not to say James Gunn has not done some good work. I honestly like a lot of his work. The Guardians of the Galaxy movies were very well done. James Gunn's not just making a DC universe. He's making his DC universe. And this is the problem that we're seeing. James Gunn is coming across like the kid who would not let anyone else touch his toys at the playground. He would just take everything so they were all his.
Yeah, no shit, Sherlock!
Speaking of what James Gunn has is all his now, especially hiring his wife in every single episode and every single project that he likes to be in now. Don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that they're bad people, Jim, but when you set off a bad precedence like this, it's going to make the fans wonder. It's also going to make us wonder why you put your political and social justice issues in the TV show. I mean, Jesus Christ, Jimothy, you might want to take a bit of an understanding here. When you made Superman what was supposed to be your pivotal key point here, you wanted no truth, justice, or American way in that movie because it had to be your way. You decided to make episode 1 of Peacemaker season 2 have a giant bisexual gangbang on episode 1. What the fuck? That's going to be taking us right into what is it now supposed to be, Jimothy? Supergirl? You want us to watch this drunken artard, and then we're going to be proceeding right into Clayface. How can you expect us to have faith in you when Superman you couldn't even put on the big screen the right way? Nonetheless be profitable, and you think that Supergirl is going to be wrong. Now, I can appreciate the love that a lot of people have from James Gunn, but even those cultist-like people now at this point who practice James Gunnism as much as their own religion have to admit that the direction he's going is just not good. The guy's not hitting the mark at all. It was not hitting the mark either, even parts of the last part of the DCEU, when you had 3 different Batman going at once, a Joker movie with a Joker spinoff, and a Penguin spinoff from the Batman that had no right being as awesome as it was. What we should have gotten, and the main point that I'm trying to make here, is that instead of getting a clear, concise plan that James Gunn thinks he's had, we have a rushed, contrived mess full of projects and personal play parties that we're dealing with James Gunn and James Gunn alone. Instead, we got a regular rehash and starring James Gunn's wife, James Gunn's friends, and James Gunn's brothers. Look, I know that the guy can work with whoever he wants, but at this point, this is going to confuse the entire audience that he's trying to build at this point. James Gunn's trying to thread a needle that he just can't hold anymore. He is a one-trick pony, as I already stated, that is good for doing a group of ragtag misfits. That was perfect for Guardians of the Galaxy, but what James fails to realize is that every project he is making right now, he is doing a complete mashup of Guardians of the Galaxy for every single project. If you've seen one James Gunn project at this point, you've pretty much seen them all. A group of ragtag misfits that ends up becoming a family in order to take down the big bad. It's great once in a while, but once you get it to about 5 or 6 times, it loses its point. It loses its purpose. If you need any more of a clear-cut example, look at what happened to Superman. It could have been a great movie if he just would have focused on Superman and Lex Luthor alone. But you could see behind the scenes and even up front what happened on camera is that James Gunn tried to bend the character into his own Superman, his own James Gunn man. But James Gunn is failing to understand each and every single time is that he's using the DCU as his own personal playground, making it for one fan and one fan alone. Himself. James Gunn is in the service now because he's at the point where he is now in charge of a multi-billion-dollar company and is essentially the Kevin Feige of the DCU. But James Gunn is making projects for himself and his friends. He needs to think about the general audience now at this point. And honestly, at this point, who could fucking blame the guy? Don't get me wrong. Let's say in a world that Zack Snyder was running the DCU at this point, it would be the exact same way. You can't have one side without the other. Let me know in the comment section below, who is your ideal candidate that should be running the DCU? And if James Gunn was to get fired, who is the one who should pick up the mantle? Warner Bros., HBO Max, they are in a massive amount of debt. And if this deal goes through, there's a very high probability that they could fire James Gunn if this deal goes through. What do you think about this deal? Do you think it's a good idea? James Gunn has shown us one thing and one thing alone. The person he cares about most is James Gunn. Thank you all so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share, and subscribe. If you didn't enjoy this video, I thank you all so much for watching. And as always, until we meet again.